A dark-haired boy sat alone in his room. He told himself that he had to bring those two together. There was no other way. The next morning, Himawari greeted him at school, calling him Tsukun. She said it was rare for him to wait for her in the morning. He said there was something he wanted to say. He thought to himself that he wanted his two most precious people to be happy. He then told Himawari that she liked Sakurada more than just a friend. Himawari panicked and tried to deny it. Tsubaki told her that he had been watching her all this time, so of course he would notice. Himawari asked if that was really how it was. Tsubaki confirmed it. She said that if it was Tsukun telling her, she would say it. She gathered her courage and confessed that she had always liked Utakun. Tsubaki said yeah and thanked her for telling him how she felt. He told himself that he swore he would make it happen. Tsubaki recalled that when they were kids, Sakurada was the tiniest one of them all and was not good at studying or sports, but Sakurada knew he could not stay that way, so he started trying really hard. Little by little, Sakurada grew into an admirable guy. Himawari said that Tsubaki really saw right through her. Tsubaki went to Sakurada's classroom and asked if Uda was there. Himawari noted that it was rare for Tsubaki to come to their class. Tsubaki asked Uda if he wanted to eat lunch together, just the two of them. Uda was confused and asked what about Himawari. Tsubaki said he got her permission because he wanted to talk man to man. Uda looked puzzled. The two of them sat on a bench outside the school. Uda said it had been a while since the two of them spent the afternoon together like that. He asked what Tsubaki meant by man-to-man talk and said there was something he had been wanting to ask. Tsubaki asked Uda if he was dating someone. Uda was shocked. Tsubaki said that Uda was popular, and if he was interested, he and Himawari would love to help him out. Uda said that was never going to happen and asked why Tsubaki was suddenly asking something like that. Tsubaki said he just got curious. He then added that he thought having a girlfriend would make things a lot easier for Uda. Uda was silent for a moment. He said he had no intention of that, and that the time the three of them spent together was what mattered most. Tsubaki called that an awful thing to say. Uda said that even if he got a girlfriend, it would probably just cause a lot of trouble. Tsubaki perked up and asked if it did not cause any trouble. Would he consider it? He leaned in very close. Uda was startled by how close Tsubaki got and told him that was not what he meant. Tsubaki said to leave that part to him, and he would figure it out somehow. Uta ran off, saying that if Tsubaki of all people said something like that to him, his feelings were shaken. He walked away while Tsubaki sat alone on the bench. Tsubaki then asked Himawari what she would do if Sakurada started dating someone. Himawari said she might get a little jealous, but Sakurada was basically like everyone's idol, and she could not really help that. She said that as long as he still hung out with them like always, it was fine. Her friends joked that if they were not careful, every girl might end up falling for Sakurata. They said they would totally be down for that. Tsubaki was with Uda's friends at a restaurant. Uda asked Tsubaki what exactly he was trying to do. They said they had all thought he was just some gloomy guy who happened to be Sakurata's childhood friend, but now he was coming at them with all this. Tsubaki said he just wanted to make what he wished would happen come true. Uda sighed and said he could not believe Tsubaki actually went and talked things out with all of his friends. He asked if Tsubaki was really serious about this. Tsubaki said that Uta had probably already noticed Himawari's feelings too. He told Uta that he just wanted the two of them to be together. Uta asked if he was really okay with that. Tsubaki insisted he was. He grabbed Uta and asked what was wrong with it. If the two childhood friends he loved most became a couple, nothing would make him happier. But he also wanted the three of them to keep spending time together, and he had no intention of giving up their three-person lunches. Even so, he told Uda to face Himawari's feelings. Uda asked what about Tsubaki himself. Tsubaki told him not to worry about him. He said he could only entrust this to Uda. Uda said he knew full well how weak he was. He said that if the person he trusted most in the world said that much, he would do it. Tsubaki said that was enough for now and told him to see him tomorrow. Uda called out to him as he walked away. Himawari was nervous and stammering, saying that someone like her could not possibly be right for him. Tsubaki told her it would be totally fine and to just go for it. She called out to him, but he told her it was okay. She said okay and got it. Himawari turned to Uda and thanked Tsubaki. She told Uda that she really liked him. Uda said he liked her too. Tsubaki watched from a distance. Himawari's whole face was bright red as she confessed with all her might. Uda accepted it with a face more serious than Tsubaki had ever seen in all their time together. The two of them embraced. Tsubaki witnessed it all with his own eyes. That night, Tsubaki lay on his bed crying. He told himself that if Himawari was happy, that was enough. That alone was enough. He told himself it was fine. The next morning, his alarm went off. He barely managed to get some sleep. He said that no matter how many times he experienced this, he could not get used to it. He reached for his phone, saying that this time for sure. The phone screen showed Wednesday, May 7th, 7 Sao. He realized it was the 12th time. He asked how many times he had to repeat this. He slammed his fist down and said he was stuck in a loop, repeating the same morning again and again, and that the entire past week had been this. It was May 7th at school. The teacher reminded the class that even though they had just come back from a long break, midterms were also coming up that month, so they needed to buckle down and get ready. A girl groaned at the news. The teacher began taking attendance. When she called Aga, a boy answered quietly. His full name was Aga Tsubaki. He sat at his desk and thought to himself that he had been repeating the same 1 week, from May 7th to the 13th, over and over again. He did not know why. He did not understand the reason. He did not even know how to escape from it. Himawari called out to Tsubaki, telling him to hurry up. Tsubaki had been confused ever since the first loop. He thought about how boys and girls eating lunch together in their 3rd year of middle school was embarrassing, but Himawari did not seem to mind. He was repeating the same days again. He thought that something must be the trigger that would end the loop. So he had tried various things, but nothing worked. While he was sitting on a bench deep in thought, Himawari called his name, but he did not hear her. She called his name again louder and startled him. She leaned in close to his face and asked what was wrong, saying he had been deep in thought all day. Tsubaki stammered and said it was just that Uda was not showing up. Himawari asked if that was really all. She said she was not lying. Himawari told him that she would listen if he had worries, and that if he was suffering, she could not just leave it be. Tsubaki thanked her, but trailed off. Auda arrived and asked what was going on with the weird atmosphere between them. Tsubaki said it was nothing. Auta then asked Tsubaki if he had bought the sun bread, since he seemed to already know he would. Himawari was shocked and asked how Auta knew that. Tsubaki thought to himself that since it was Auta after all, he probably saw right through him. Himawari protested that even she understood Auta. Auta said he knew that Tsubaki thought he had to come, even if he was going to be a little late, and that the reason he brought the sun bread was all part of that. Himawari continued that after this, as an apology for being late, Auda was going to suggest splitting it 3 ways. Tsubaki cut in and asked them to please just split it in half today. Both Himawari and Auda were confused. Tsubaki stood up and said sorry, that he was going to eat separately today. Himawari and Ota called after him, asking where he was going. He walked away from them. He thought to himself that he was just really tired. Tsubaki reflected that he had tried so many different things over the course of many loops. He had even made the painful choice to try to bring Himawari and Auta together, but the loop still would not end. Instead, it only became more painful for him. If that was the case, it was better to do nothing. The teacher handed back a quiz. He praised Tsubaki for doing well. Tsubaki scored a perfect 100. He thought to himself that of course he did, since it was the 13th time he had taken it. He crumpled up the paper and left the classroom. Himawari and Auda were standing in the hallway, and Auda looked irritated. Himawari asked Auda why he would not just admit it. Auda had no idea what she was talking about, and insisted it was not him. Himawari told him she did not have anything to do with it either, so it must be Auta. Tsubaki tried to stop them, asking them to wait a minute. Other students noticed and wondered if those two were fighting. Himawari pointed at Tsubaki and said it was about him. Auda accused Tsubaki of acting weird because of Himawari. Himawari accused Auda of being the reason Tsubaki was acting weird. Tsubaki asked if this was happening because they did not eat lunch together. He said he just had a little errand during lunch break. Auta pointed out that that did not mean Tsubaki would put their group of 3 on hold, and that it had to be Himawari's doing. Himawari countered, asking if Auda did not think Tsubaki felt lonely because of all the time Auda spent hanging out with other people lately. Tsubaki begged them to listen to him. Tsubaki told them that if his attitude had been bad, then he should be the one to blame. He bowed and apologized to both of them. He said he was sorry, really sorry. Auta clicked his tongue. Himawari said she was pulling back for now, but that it was not over. She told Auta she would not forgive him until he admitted it and apologized. Auta was just as fired up. Both of them stormed off in opposite directions. Tsubaki sighed. A classmate with glasses suggested to Tsubaki that they would make up soon and told him not to worry. Tsubaki said he hoped both of them would be calm on the way home. He thought to himself that they were just heated right now. Himawari found Tsubaki at the end of the school day and apologized to him. She said she did not want to go home with Auta until things were settled. Auta also found Tsubaki, asking if Auta was alone today. He wanted to walk home together. Auta said he was not going to forgive Himawari until she admitted she was wrong. Tsubaki ended up alone. He sat on the ground outside the school, clutching his bag, and sighed. He thought about how they had been together for so long and had never fought before. His behavior was the reason for this. He thought he could not take any more pain. But even so, he could not stop thinking about how things had gone wrong. A girl with long, wavy hair approached him and called out to him, asking if he was Aga-kun. Tsubaki was surprised. She jumped down from above and landed in front of him. She said she was right, that he was Aga-kun. the childhood friend of Tsurugi-kun and Chisato-san. She referred to Aota and Himawari by their surnames. Tsubaki confirmed that he was. The girl mentioned that those two had been fighting during the break. She then asked if they had not started dating. Tsubaki was shocked. She continued, saying that she was talking about him playing matchmaker for them. Tsubaki was stunned. He wondered who this girl was and how she knew about the previous loop. The girl smiled at him. Tsubaki was sitting at a cafe with a girl he did not recognize. She was happily sipping her drink. She mentioned that a couple had recently started going out and that she heard Aga-kun played matchmaker for them. Tsubaki wondered who this girl was who had appeared before him. He also wondered if this girl was the same as him. The girl teased him, saying that if he stared at her with those hot eyes, she would get all shy. Tsubaki was flustered and tried to say something, but she just giggled. He asked who she was. She seemed surprised that he did not know her and wondered out loud if she was just being self-conscious. Tsubaki apologized and said he barely knew anyone from the other classes. She said that for the future's sake, she would introduce herself. Her name was Ueshi Kaide from Class 3B. She told him to remember her. Tsubaki realized that Class 3B was the same class as Himawari, which explained how Kaide knew who he was. Kaide let out a small laugh and then leaned her head down on the table. She called him an oddball, just like the rumors said. She mentioned that almost everyone asked her what kanji she used for her surname and showed him how it was written. She guessed it was because it sounded like such a storybook-like surname. Tsubaki thought to himself that she was probably not a bad person, but that she was a girl who was hard to keep up with. Kaide seemed to read his mind and asked if that was what he was thinking. Tsubaki wondered if he was just being teased. Kaide asked if her guess was correct and laughed. She told him to go ahead and ask his question this time. Tsubaki wondered if he was just being teased. He thanked her. Kaide noted that he was the type of person who started by saying thank you and said she thought she might like that. Tsubaki thought she really threw him off his rhythm. He then brought up what Kaide had said earlier and asked her a question. He wanted to know about what she had mentioned regarding the couple. Kaide asked if he had memories of a different development. Tsubaki recalled that Sakura and Himawari had started dating last week. Kaide, who knew about that, asked if he had memories of things going differently. Tsubaki realized that there was a possibility Kaide was looping just like him. If she was in the same situation, she must be struggling too. He thought that maybe this loop, which he could not see an exit from alone, could be broken if they could share some information or hints. He thought that maybe they could find a way to escape together, but Kaide's response caught him off guard. She said it was more like a memory. She said she kind of felt like that was the way things had been. Tsubaki asked if she did not remember properly. Kaide confirmed that she just felt like that was the case. Tsubaki asked if it was really just a vague feeling. Kaide said it had been hazy the whole time. Tsubaki thought about what this meant. She only retained faint remnants of the memories of the previous week. Kaide came to probe him in order to confirm that suspicion. She only retained faint remnants of those memories. Tsubaki said he understood. Kaide pointed out that his reaction went way beyond the level of just having a hunch. Tsubaki realized it was not the same. She was not the key person who could break this loop, nor was she at a level where they could really talk about it. Despite that, Kaide started pestering him at school, asking him to go grab tea again. Tsubaki did not know if she just took a liking to him or what, but ever since then she had started bothering him constantly. At school, she told him she still had things to say, even though he said he had nothing more to say. She told him that he definitely knew what her vague hunch actually was. She grabbed his arm and said she was right, while he protested. She dragged him down the hallway. A girl with light-colored hair opened a classroom door and saw them together. She noted that it was happening today too, and that it was kind of rare for Tsukun to be with someone other than them. She said Otakun's name, and then Aota appeared, running down the stairs. She called out to him, but he dashed past her. Kaide was talking to Tsubaki outside, saying that he remembered things more clearly than she did. Tsubaki thought about whether he should tell Kaide about the time loop, but since she only retained faint memories of the previous week and he could not really tell what she was thinking, he felt it might be dangerous to tell someone like her all the details. He decided he should probably just keep his explanation vague. He told her that he felt like she was the same as him. Aota burst onto the scene and demanded to know what that was supposed to mean. Tsubaki was surprised to see him. Aota asked why he was there. Kaide cheerfully noted that Monday afternoon had turned out like that, and that they were having tea together every single day. Aota asked Tsubaki if he had started dating Kaide. Tsubaki was caught off guard. Aota told him that was just messed up, and that Tsubaki had him right there. Tsubaki asked what he meant by that. Aota caught himself and quickly said that he and Tsubaki were childhood friends, and that was how it was. Kaede teased that it was a man's friendship. Uta told her that he was saying Tsubaki just went ahead without consulting him. The girl with light-colored hair was watching them from a distance. Uta, Tsubaki, and Kaede walked together with her watching. Tsubaki thought about the reason Uta was reluctant to date Himawari every time in the loops up until now. Uta wanted to continue spending time as the three of them. Tsubaki acknowledged that Uta wished for that. He asked if Uta was not going to date anyone. Uta told him not to say something so cruel. Tsubaki asked if it was like that. Uta turned away. Tsubaki had a hunch, or rather, he could not help but realize it. Uta was in love with him. Tsubaki was shocked by this realization. Tsubaki had a lot on his mind, but he decided to tell Ota about the loop first. Ota was shocked and asked if Tsubaki had really been stuck looping the same week over and over. Tsubaki nodded. Ota complained that Tsubaki had dragged him out there even though Himawari was waiting for them. He then sighed with relief and muttered that this was not about the thing he had blurted out the other day. Tsubaki asked if Ota was not doubting him about the loop. Ota said of course not, and told Tsubaki he could tell just from the way he was talking. He said there was no way Tsubaki would joke about something like that. Ota said that it must have been rough for Tsubaki. He admitted he had no clue how the loop worked or how to escape it, but he understood that Tsubaki did not have much choice but to keep trying different things. He brought up the fact that Tsubaki had been trying to force him and Himawari together and all that. He told Tsubaki to just never do that again. Tsubaki was caught off guard. Ota tapped his fist against Tsubaki's and told him that even so, he just wanted Tsubaki to be happy. He said that he felt bad for Himawari, but Tsubaki was always number one to him, and he wanted to be that for Tsubaki too. Tsubaki was the one who had always led him forward, and that was the kind of person Tsubaki was to him. Ota then stated that unless something huge changed, there was no way he would ever date Himawari. Tsubaki realized that Ota's feelings toward him were not something as light as love. He thought about this loop and wondered if it was happening because he was the one going in circles. He questioned whether his heart had not fully settled on anything, and whether that was why the loop would not end. It started raining, and Tsubaki stood alone in the rain getting completely soaked without even noticing. Himawari spotted him from nearby, humming to herself, and called out to him. She was shocked that he was completely soaked and not even using an umbrella. She asked what happened. Tsubaki said he was so lost in his thoughts that he did not even notice it had started raining. Himawari grabbed him and scolded him, saying he was going to catch a cold if he stayed like that. She told him to go take a shower first, and that she would get some clothes ready and make something warm for him. Tsubaki thanked her. He noted that it had been a while since Himawari came over to his place. Even after all this time, she still moved around like she knew the place by heart. She was searching through the kitchen, muttering about where the kitchen stuff should be, and quickly found what she was looking for. Tsubaki stifled a laugh watching her. After Tsubaki finished his shower, he came out, and Himawari asked if he was okay now. He said he was, thanks to her. She asked him to wait a little longer because the soup was almost done. She smiled and told him that he really took care of her a lot. Tsubaki said that was his line. She turned away quickly, flustered, and told him not to say things like that. She said she had been really worried when she found him earlier, and that she would not feel right unless she did at least this much for him. Tsubaki thanked her sincerely. Himawari smiled and said she was happy. Tsubaki thought to himself that he loved her, and that she was this kind of girl. That was exactly why he felt this way about her. Tsubaki asked Himawari if she was not curious about what he and Ota were talking about without her. She quickly said not at all, and told him that right now it was about him. Tsubaki thought that she was always like this. Looking at her from where he was sitting, she looked so thin and so small, and yet at her core, she was stronger than he could ever be, almost blindingly so. That was the kind of person she was. He thought that no matter what, he could not throw these feelings away and could not stop the fact that he loved her, even if he knew they would never come true. Himawari said the food was ready and started to call out to Tsubaki. She slipped off the small step stool she was standing on. Tsubaki rushed to catch her. He held her in his arms and she thanked him for catching her so quickly. She tugged on his shirt. Tsubaki told her he was just glad nothing happened to the girl he treasured. Himawari flushed bright red and smacked him lightly, telling him not to say those kinds of things while making a face like that. She said she could not even look at his face. Tsubaki thought to himself that when Tsukun said things like that, even her ears turned bright red. She was unbelievably embarrassed. Tsubaki asked if they could stay like that just a little longer. Himawari stammered that it was fine, but told him not to look at her face. Tsubaki thought she was way too cute. He noticed that she was getting flustered, even though it was him, and she was reacting to him. He thought that this was bad, because he was too happy. Oda's words came back to him, telling him that he just wanted Tsubaki to be happy. Tsubaki suddenly realized that the dizzy, looping feeling had disappeared at some point. The moment he realized it, He had already made his decision. If facing his feelings properly and being honest with himself was what would let him escape this loop, then he was going to confess to the girl he treasured so much and loved so much. He would turn that gaze of Himawari's that had always been directed at Ota and make it face him instead. Himawari asked if he was okay. He pointed out that he thought she did not want him to see her face. She stammered but said she just wanted to know what kind of face he was making right now. Tsubaki looked at her and resolved that he was going to confess. Tsubaki told Ota that he was going to confess to Himawari. Ota asked why he was going out of his way to ask for his permission. Tsubaki said it was out of principle and that he wanted Ota to know. He told Ota that in a way, he had to defeat the version of Ota that lived in Himawari's heart. Ota said that was not even a competition. Tsubaki responded that he knew that, but now that he had made up his mind, he would beat Ota no matter what. Ota was caught off guard and told him to forget it. He tapped Tsubaki on the shoulder and told him that if he had made up his mind, all he could do was support him. He added that he did not think Tsubaki needed to be so stiff about it. Tsubaki was confused and asked why. Ota pointed out that Tsubaki was usually the one who noticed things like this. He guessed that meant Tsubaki was really torn up about it, so he decided to tell him something. Ota asked Tsubaki if he was looping. Tsubaki was stunned. Ota said that was like having a cheat code and that he could restart as many times as he wanted. He told Tsubaki not to stress too much and that it was just trial and error. Tsubaki thanked Ota and thought to himself that Ota was right. He realized that his situation actually had its advantages. He did not have to rush, and even if he crashed and burned, he could come up with a plan and try again. After school, Himawari noticed that Ota had gone off to play with his friends. She and Tsubaki were walking together, and she said that they could not keep Ota all to themselves forever. She added that they would probably go to different high schools, so maybe they needed to get used to that starting now. Tsubaki thought about this. Ota then appeared and asked if the two of them had been fighting earlier. Himawari was caught off guard and called Ota an idiot, hitting him while he laughed and apologized. Tsubaki thought about the day before and how the atmosphere between him and Himawari had not been bad. He recalled a moment where Himawari had asked him to stay like that just a little longer, and he had said it was fine. He thought that Himawari had reacted that way toward him, and that even if he could not beat Ota, it did not mean he had no chance. He told himself that if he could just loop back and try again, he could make it work. Himawari approached Tsubaki and started to bring up what had happened yesterday. Tsubaki suddenly grabbed her by the shoulders. She was startled and let out a shriek. He stared at her silently. Himawari told him that he was making the same face as yesterday. He denied it. She said that was not true. He told her that it was okay if he crashed and burned and that she should just go for it. He told Himawari that he had always liked her and asked her to go out with him. Himawari froze with wide eyes. Tsubaki wondered if he had succeeded on the first try, but Himawari stammered and could not get her words out. She started crying and bowed her head, saying she was so sorry. Tsubaki stood there in silence. Himawari continued crying and kept apologizing over and over, saying she was really sorry. Tsubaki was confused. Himawari told him that it was not that she disliked him or hated him. She said that hearing him say he had always liked her made her really happy too. Tsubaki asked her then why she would not say yes. Himawari asked if it had to be Ota, which confused Tsubaki. She asked him if he had noticed. She said she was so focused on herself that she did not notice Tsubaki's feelings and that she thought she knew him so well but did not understand anything. She said she could not forgive herself for that. She told Tsubaki that even though they were childhood friends and had always been together, she never truly faced him. With tears streaming down her face, she said that was why she could not be his girlfriend. She shouted that this was what she had always thought and ran away. Tsubaki stood there alone. He admitted to himself that it was a complete and utter defeat. So much so that he was in shock and spaced out for a while. But even though Himawari would not even look at him properly for the rest of the loop, he slapped his own cheeks and told himself to pull it together. He told himself to use all of this for the next time. He began planning, thinking that if he looped back to the 7th, he could try again with Himawari. Tsubaki woke up to his alarm. He said he used to hate waking up to this morning, but he had finally made it back and could now try again with Himawari. He looked at his phone and was confused. The phone dropped from his hand. The screen showed Wednesday, May 14th, 7 a.m. Minato had escaped the loop, but his confession to Himawari had failed. He sighed outside his apartment building, wondering why things ended up like this when he had kept wishing he could escape the loop for so long. He recalled Himawari crying and apologizing to him. It was Wednesday, May 14th, 7 in the morning. Minato thought that he could hardly show his face to Himawari right now. He was walking to school when he spotted a girl ahead of him. He figured he should be safe since she had not noticed him. but then she turned around and saw him. It was Himawari. She yelled that she was sorry and ran away from him at full speed. Minato realized that she was thinking the same thing he was. He stood there wondering what he could possibly do about the situation. Minato went to classroom 3A looking for Ota. A classmate told him that Ota was not there right now. Minato thanked him and left. He tried coming back several times after that, but Ota was never around. Minato figured that Ota had probably heard about how his confession went and was keeping his distance out of consideration for him. But Minato thought that there was no one else but Ota that he wanted to talk to. He then noticed that he was standing in front of classroom 3B and got an idea. Minato needed to make sure Himawari did not spot him. He excused himself to the girls near the door and asked if they could call Kaede Weishi for him. The thought crossed his mind that if it was Kaede, she might be able to help. Kaede came out, and Minato nervously called her name. Kaede seemed to be thinking, and then tapped her fist into her palm. She confirmed that he was Aga-kun. Minato was confused and mentioned that they had tea together several times last week. Kaede said that it was Ota Tsurugi-kun's childhood friend, right? And that this was the first time they were talking. Minato was shocked that she did not remember him. Minato thought that things should have continued from last week, and that this did not make any sense. He wondered if Kaede was caught in a different kind of loop than he was. Kaede interrupted his thoughts and told him that she was in the middle of her lunch and asked if she could go back now. Minato apologized, and she left. He could not understand how things had ended up like this. Minato summarized what he knew for sure. In this timeline, the one that continued from his rejection, he had confessed to Himawari and was now completely isolated. Ota was avoiding him, Kaede did not remember him, and Himawari had rejected him. He clenched his fist. Their high school choices were practically guaranteed to split them up as things stood, and if things stayed like this, they would drift apart for good. On top of that, he still had not been able to accept that Himawari rejected him. Minato told himself to fight. Even if he had escaped the loop, he would charge in and break it apart if he had to, as many times as it took. He ran through the school hallway and found Himawari outside. He called out to her. She apologized to him again, saying she was sorry. No matter how many times he confessed, it was no use. Himawari kept rejecting him and crying. Minato asked why it would not work. The more he clung to her, the more pathetic he became. Himawari said through tears that that was not it and that was not what she meant. The more Minato realized, even though he did not want to, that he was only hurting Himawari by pursuing her. Minato could not find any hope. Day by day, he was just getting more and more cornered. A classmate asked him what was wrong, and he said it was nothing. He thought that living in this timeline was its own kind of hell, but going back to the loop would be hell too. If it was hell either way, then he would rather go back to the loop. Going back to the 7th had to be better. If he went back to the 7th, at least he would not have confessed to Himawari. Minato wondered how he could go back and what he had to do to return. Since he did not know how it worked, all he could do was try different things. He thought that in stories about time and space, getting hit by a truck or some other strong impact was often the trigger. He was standing on the school rooftop near the fence. He had been too scared to try this before, but he told himself that this was not the time to be scared. He pulled at the fence and jumped off the rooftop. A girl watching from below saw him fall. He crashed through trees and bushes and landed on the ground. He was in pain, but alive. Students screamed and asked what he was doing and if he had just jumped. Someone called for a teacher. He could not get back to the loop. He had just caused a huge commotion. He was lucky to escape with only minor injuries, but the teachers chewed him out. He did not give up and kept trying all sorts of things, but it was all for nothing. By Tuesday, May 20th at 9:35 p.m., it had already been a week. He wondered if he had no choice but to give up, accept everything, and just keep on living like this. He did not want this. He had no choice but to make up his mind. No matter how much he complained or cried, tomorrow was still going to come. He asked why this kept happening to him and cried to himself. His alarm beeped the next morning. He woke up and looked at his phone. It read Wednesday, May 14th, 7 ko. He was shocked. It was another loop, and of all days, it had to be this one. Tsubaki woke up on Wednesday, May 14th at 7 a.m. He had confessed to Himawari and thought he had escaped the loop, but now it was starting all over again. He told himself that wondering why would not help, and that panicking would not get him anywhere either. He needed to think. Now that things had turned out like this, he needed to figure out what to do first. At school, Tsubaki greeted Ota. He noticed that Ota had not contacted him at all the previous week, so he decided he needed to start with Ota first. If he did not do something different from last week, nothing would even begin. Tsubaki then noticed that Ota seemed kind of down. He asked Ota if he should really be calling him out at a time like this. Tsubaki was confused. Ota pointed out that Tsubaki had confessed to Himawari and asked if he should not be spending time with her instead. Tsubaki panicked and told Ota to wait. He told Ota that Himawari had rejected him. Ota was stunned and stared at him. He could not believe it and asked what had happened. Tsubaki said that Ota had always thought too highly of him and that there was no way Himawari would just say yes. Ota replied that was not true. He said that if Tsubaki confessed to her, there was no way she would say no. Tsubaki realized that was the reason Ota had been staying away from him the previous week. Ota had assumed Tsubaki and Himawari had gotten together and was trying to stay out of their way. Ota got angry and said he could not understand why Himawari would reject a guy like Tsubaki. He stormed off saying he was going to give Himawari a piece of his mind. Tsubaki told him to wait. Ota stopped and then asked Tsubaki something. He said that Tsubaki had always been like this, and he wanted to know why a great guy like him kept acknowledging someone like Ota, who had no real redeeming qualities. Tsubaki sighed and told Ota that he really did not know himself at all. Ota said that the reason he was who he was today was because of Tsubaki. Tsubaki was caught off guard. Ota explained that when they were kids, he was the shortest, the biggest crybaby, and could not do sports or studying well at all. But Tsubaki was the one who taught him how to study and play sports and kept encouraging him, telling him he could do it. Tsubaki thought about it and admitted that maybe it was true that he tended to overthink things, but he could see how good Ota's character was, and believed he had the potential to become a man who excelled in both academics and sports. Ota then admitted that, to be honest, he knew Himawari had a crush on him. Tsubaki was surprised. Ota continued that, as far as he was concerned, the version of him that Himawari fell for was only possible because of Tsubaki. He said Himawari had missed what really mattered. Ota told Tsubaki that the same went for him, and they bumped fists. Himawari was sighing at her desk in class 3B. Kaede appeared and greeted her cheerfully. Himawari was startled. Kaede noticed Himawari seemed down and teased her, asking if she was not being all lovey-dovey with her boyfriend. Himawari panicked and denied having a boyfriend. Kaede thought for a moment, and then asked if Himawari meant Tsubaki Aga. She corrected herself, saying that Aga was the Cupid, and that Himawari's boyfriend was that Tsurugi guy, referring to Ota. Himawari was shocked. Kaede had remembered things differently from what actually happened. An unexpected response came from Kaede. Himawari was shocked when Kaede said that her boyfriend was Ota-kun. Himawari was confused because nobody had said anything like that, and that was not even how things were to begin with. However, she noted that Kaede did not seem like she was lying. Himawari grabbed Kaede's arm and asked if she could tell her more about that. Himawari and Kaede sat together on a bench outside. Kaede listened to what Himawari had to say. Himawari said she felt really bad for Tsurugi and could hardly face him. Himawari thought to herself that Kaede's memories were really different from hers and wondered what that meant. Kaede said she was just an outsider, but she asked if Himawari really needed to worry that much. Himawari was startled by this. Kaede explained that from what she could tell, what Himawari had really been looking at was the Ota that Tsubaki had helped shape. She asked if that meant Himawari was actually looking at Tsubaki just through the lens of who Ota was now. Himawari stood there stunned. Kaede said that even so, and trailed off without finishing her thought. Tsubaki was sitting alone outside the school building. He let out a sigh and slumped down. He thought about what Ota had said to him, that Tsubaki was the person who had always led him forward. But Tsubaki could not rate himself that highly. He had never thought about things that way before, but he wondered if it could be some kind of key to something. Kaede appeared and called out to him, saying she found him. Tsubaki was confused. Kaede asked him if he knew how to write her last name. He said it was Yui, like garment, and shi, like stone. Kaede said that he would definitely know that if he had known her for a while. She also pointed out that he did not seem like the type to check out girls from other classes. She said that as far as she was concerned, this was the first time they had met, but Tsubaki was acting like he had known her forever. She threw the question right back at him and asked what was going on. Tsubaki was caught off guard. Kaede said she could tell there was something up with him. Kaede said that she had heard all sorts of things from Himawari, and the way things were now did not match what she vaguely remembered. She said it just felt off, like something was bothering her. She jumped toward Tsubaki and grabbed his shoulders. She called him by his full name, Tsubaki Aga, and told him that she was interested in him. She said that if he was willing, he should tell her what was going on with him. She told him that what was happening to them was a loop. Tsubaki confirmed it. Kaede repeated the word back to him. She said that both he and she had been repeating a specific period of time. Kaede explained the difference. Tsubaki clearly remembered what happened last week, while her memories were all fuzzy. Tsubaki confirmed that it seemed that way. Kaede said that from what she could hear, she and Tsubaki were on different loops. Tsubaki thought to himself that she caught on fast. Kaede said she had zero memory of having tea with him over and over. Tsubaki thought that maybe he should have explained things properly from the very first week. He wondered if he should tell Kaede about the loop, but then realized that she did not remember anything about that week. Since her loop cycle was different from his, for her that week never happened, so it probably did not matter. Kaede asked if Tsubaki had been worrying and suffering all by himself this whole time. She mentioned that Tsurugi was not looping after all. She said she had told Ota about the loop last week, but since he was not looping, that did not help. Kaede got excited and declared that she really was the only one then. She said she was the only one who understood how Tsubaki felt. She grabbed his hand and slid her fingers between his. She called herself his one and only loop companion. Tsubaki stared at her. Kaede said that from what she could remember, Tsurugi and Himawari started dating because of Tsubaki. She said he had been trying all sorts of things to escape the loop. She brought their interlocked hands to her cheek and asked if it had been hard on him. Tsubaki admitted that she saw right through him. Kaede said that was what companions were for. She squeezed his hand and told him that there was a limit to what he could do alone. She said her memories were all fuzzy, so she had not suffered as much as he had, but she would like to escape together. Tsubaki started to say they should cooperate, and Kaede agreed, pulling him by the arm. She hugged him and asked if he wanted to try going out with her. Tsubaki was completely stunned. Kaede laughed and said he looked genuinely confused. She pointed out that Tsubaki had been rejected by Himawari, so he probably wanted to go back to before he confessed. She told him to go out with her then. Tsubaki asked how that followed. Kaede explained that they did not know the conditions for a loop to start or end, so they had no choice but to try a lot of things, especially things they would never do under normal circumstances. She asked if she was wrong. She declared it was decided and called him honey. Tsubaki panicked and told her to wait. She asked if she was not good enough for him. She said she thought she was pretty cute and that she was growing nicely, so she figured she would be popular with guys. Tsubaki quickly said that was not it. Kaede pouted and asked if she was just not his type, and if having her as a girlfriend was totally out of the question. Tsubaki stammered and said that Kaede was pretty attractive. She laughed and called him formal. She asked why a girl like her would go for a plain guy like him, even considering the circumstances. Tsubaki thought about it. Kaede told him that he was not plain at all, and that she had never met anyone like him. She said she tended to jump around when she talked, but Tsubaki kept up with her, which meant their processing speeds were about the same. She said that alone made her happy, and that she was really happy he was her companion. She said she was happy enough to really like him. Tsubaki was taken aback. He admitted that it made him happy, and that his heart had skipped a beat because it was the first time he had been praised like that. Kaede asked if he wanted to give it a try. Tsubaki said okay, reasoning that if they did not act, nothing would happen. Kaede said it was decided. She told him to get along with her starting today. Tsubaki thanked her and said likewise. Kaede tugged his arm and declared the relationship had started. She hugged him from behind. Himawari saw them walking together. She reminded herself that she was the one who rejected Tsurugi when he confessed to her, and that whoever he dated after that was none of her business. She had no right to say anything, but she wondered why it hurt so much and why her chest felt so heavy. She suddenly found herself in what looked like a hospital room with an IV drip stand. She was confused. She then found herself back at school and saw Tsubaki and Kaede walking away together. She wondered what had just happened. Himawari's memories were also showing signs of change. Ota was shocked when Tsubaki and Kaede told him that they had started dating. Kaede cheerfully confirmed it. Tsubaki explained to Ota that he had told him about the loop before, and reminded him about Himawari. He said that Kaede was looping too, and that she was his loop companion. Ota was confused. Tsubaki told Ota that he was looping again. Ota could not believe he was serious. Himawari was watching them from nearby, and her feelings had not changed. Tsubaki grabbed Ota's arm and told him that as long as he still had no leads on escaping the loop, he had no choice but to try things he had not done before. For both himself and Ota, this was something that never would have happened if they were alone. Ota sighed and said that if that was the case, then whatever. Tsubaki thanked him. Tsubaki said he just wanted him to understand. Ota quickly added that it did not mean he was cheering them on or anything. Kaede said that was all right. She noted that for Tsubaki, it was not just Chisato who was important to him. Tsurugi was important to him too. Ota went silent for a moment. Tsubaki wondered if there might be some kind of key in that. Himawari watched the three of them from a distance and thought about what this meant for her. The school bell rang, and classes ended. Some classmates were asking each other about club activities and whether they wanted to stop by somewhere. The classroom door opened, and Kaede called out to Tsubaki cheerfully. She said she came to pick him up. Tsubaki was caught off guard. The other students recognized her as Weishi from Class B and remarked that she was pretty cute, wondering what her relationship with Tsubaki was. Kaede grabbed Tsubaki's arm and announced to his classmates that she was Kaede Weishi from Class 3B and that she had started dating Tsubaki yesterday. The classmates were shocked. One girl and a boy with glasses stared in disbelief. Kaede told everyone that was how it was and said nice to meet them all. Tsubaki tried to stop her and told Kaede to wait. Tsubaki told Kaede that she did not have to announce it so publicly. She said she did not want some other girl stealing him away and smiled at him. Kaede told him that even if there were circumstances and a goal behind their relationship, the fact that he was special to her did not change. She squeezed his arm and said they should keep doing more and more couples stuff together. Tsubaki and Kaede went out together. They visited a game center and took photo booth pictures together. Kaede thought the photos were cute, though she noticed Tsubaki made the same pose in all of them. They also went shopping for clothes, where Kaede tried things on excitedly. They ate burgers together and went to karaoke. Tsubaki's days were spent getting swept along by Kaide's whims. He noted that it was his first time doing stuff like this, but it was way more fun than he had imagined. Kaede always seemed to be having fun. She came out of a karaoke place laughing and thanking the staff. Kaede noticed that Tsubaki seemed distracted and asked if he was not having fun. He stuttered and said her name. She told him to come on and use her first name too. She said that since they were just trying things out, that was exactly why they should take it seriously. And if they were going to do it anyway, they should try to enjoy the relationship too. Tsubaki said it was nothing, and that he had just never thought about it that way before. Kaede said that was a really good opportunity then. She suddenly bumped into him, and their faces ended up very close. A child nearby pointed and yelled at them. Kaede slid her arm around his and asked what he would call her. Tsubaki started to say her name. He said, Ka, and then Kaede. She hummed happily. Kaede said okay, and told him to go, pulling him along. She apologized for being kind of pushy. He started to say something, but stopped himself. He thought that he did not mind going out with her, and that if anything, he was starting to find it more and more comfortable. He had almost said it out loud, but caught himself at the last second. Kaede asked what he was about to say, and he told her it was nothing. Kaede suggested they should take a break soon and go to a family restaurant. Tsubaki agreed. As they were walking, Tsubaki squeezed her hand and said he wanted to say something while he had the chance. Kaede asked what it was about. He mentioned that her chest was pressing against him, and asked if it did not bother her. She asked if that meant it was bothering him a lot. He stammered and said he was a guy after all. Kaede said she wanted him to feel her though, and that if it also made him happy, then it was killing two birds with one stone. Tsubaki admitted that was true. Kaede laughed and said, then it was fine. Tsubaki thought to himself that he could not win against her. Nearby, Himawari was peeking at the two of them from behind a corner outside a cafe. She wondered why she was watching them like this. She thought about how from their exchange just now, it felt like Tsubaki had let his guard down around Kaede, like a switch had flipped inside him, making him feel more comfortable around her. Himawari told herself that she did not have any right to feel this way, so she could not understand why her chest felt all tangled up. She did not want this. She did not want Tsubaki to be like this. She did not want him to be dating Kaede. The next day, Tsubaki was walking through the school hallway. He thought to himself that yesterday was a little dangerous. He felt like he should not get too carried away. Even if he was starting to develop feelings, he wanted to keep his composure and handle things properly with Kaede. He spotted her near class 3B and greeted her by her first name, saying good morning. Kaede stopped. She asked what he was talking about and why he was calling her by her first name. She asked if he was Aga and called it a pretty outdated pickup line. She also added that she was not interested in that kind of stuff anyway. Tsubaki was stunned. Kaede greeted him with just a casual good morning as if nothing had happened. Himawari saw all of this from nearby and was completely shocked. She could not understand why or how this was happening. She realized that this was exactly what she had wanted to happen the day before. The chapter ended with the reveal that Himawari was the one causing the loop. Tsubaki told Ota to hold on a second and said he wanted to get things straight. He summarized the situation. After Ota started looping the same week over and over, around the 10th try or so, he thought he had to do something decisive. So he got Tsubaki and Himawari together, but the loop did not end. On top of that, Ota had once managed to escape the loop in that state. But then, while still rejected by Himawari, the loop started again. That was when, in a different way than Tsubaki, Ota ended up dating Kaede, who was also looping. Kaede was the one who suggested it, and things were going pretty well between them until that morning. Not only did Kaede forget about all of that, she acted like it was the first time she and Ota had ever spoken. Tsubaki pointed out that Ota and Ueshi had different loop cycles. He suggested that logically, maybe she had just gone back to before the two of them met. Ota said that had happened before, so the possibility definitely existed, but something still felt wrong to him. He said the timing was too perfect for it to happen right when he had started developing feelings for Kaede. Tsubaki realized what Ota meant. The timing of Kaide's loop was almost too perfectly convenient, and that was why it felt so wrong. He said that loops were supposed to be a phenomenon with no clear rules or logic, But what happened with Kaide that day made him uneasy. Oda asked if Tsubaki was okay. Tsubaki summarized the current situation. Oda was back to being single, and after confessing to Himawari, things were still awkward between them. Oda nervously confirmed that was right. Today was the 20th. Oda said that if he went to sleep and woke up, he would probably be back on the 14th. He might escape the loop this time, but there was also a chance he would not. Tsubaki suggested that for the time being, Ota should try to patch things up with Himawari. Ota was confused. Tsubaki patted his shoulder and told him that he could not stand seeing him all cornered and depressed like that. So for the first time in a while, Tsubaki decided to do something about it. Ota greeted Tsubaki and Himawari at a bench outside during break, handing them drinks and calling it the usual three-way split. Tsubaki thanked him. Himawari thanked him too, calling him Ota-kun. She thought to herself that Ota had actually pushed her into this, which was rare. Tsubaki thought to himself that things were really awkward. Oda told them to eat up. During lunch by the school's outdoor area, Oda encouraged Himawari to eat like she usually does. She nervously agreed. Tsubaki told them that for now, they should just be the three of them like old times. Himawari quietly agreed. Tsubaki noticed that something still felt strange. Of course, Himawari would be awkward and unsure around him after his confession, and he thought that was only natural. But today, it felt like she was awkward around Ota too. He noticed that she did not even look at Ota the way she always does. Tsubaki noticed that Himawari was acting weird. She was even being awkward around Ota of all people. When Ota called out to her, she knocked over a chair and screamed. He asked if something happened. She stammered and could not answer. Tsubaki scolded Ota, reminding him of everything that had happened between them. Ota said it might just be his imagination, but he asked Himawari if she was worrying about something other than the stuff between the three of them. Himawari clenched her fists. She was shocked that he could tell and asked how he knew. He told her that he had been watching her this whole time, just like how she used to watch Ota. Himawari was startled by that. Tsubaki began to say her name, but she cut him off. Himawari blurted out that everything felt so wrong. She explained that when she saw Kaide that morning, Kaide had completely forgotten about the fact that she was dating Tsubaki. Both Ota and Tsubaki were stunned. Himawari continued, saying that yesterday it had gone down exactly like she thought it would. She knew she was the last person who should feel that way, but when she thought about how much she hated it, she could not stop herself. And today, it actually happened. Tsubaki asked if she hated the fact that he and Katie were dating. She confirmed it, though she admitted she did not really understand why she hated it. Ota and Tsubaki were both shocked. Tsubaki summarized that what she wished for yesterday had come true. She said that was why she did not get it at all, and it was kind of scary. She then apologized to Tsubaki. Himawari explained further. Even though she was the one who rejected Tsubaki, once he started dating Kaidi, she felt restless and weird. She even followed them around in secret. She ended up changing Ueshi's memories. Tsubaki thought about what she said and realized that was what she had been thinking. Ota then pointed out that how someone felt about things or perceived them was just a matter of perspective. He said that her looping was the exact same thing, at least from his perspective, since he had not experienced it either. Tsubaki thought to himself that Ota was right. If he believed he was looping, then he had no choice but to acknowledge Himawari's ability too. Himawari asked what Ota meant by loop. Tsubaki explained to Himawari that he kept his memories and repeated the same week over and over again, and that it had been happening pretty often. Himawari was confused. Ota said that he had just heard the story from Tsubaki, and now he had heard it from Himawari too, and he was the only one being left out. Ota realized that something like this had happened before. Himawari was surprised. Ota said he thought it was back in 4th grade or so, though he could not remember exactly what happened. He remembered something similar to this occurring. He asked Himawari about it, since she would surely remember. Himawari did not know what they were talking about. Ota was shocked and asked if she did not even remember that. She said she did not remember and did not know. She insisted that if those two remembered it, there was no way she would not remember. She grabbed her head and repeated that she did not remember. Tsubaki suddenly felt strange. He covered his face and said his vision was going blurry. The world around him started to warp. Both Himawari and Ota called out to him. Tsubaki found himself waking up in his room to his alarm beeping. He was confused about what had just happened. He checked his phone and was shocked. He tried to search for Himawari, but her contact was gone. His skin was crawling. He called Ota immediately. Ota picked up and asked why Tsubaki was calling so early in the morning. Tsubaki asked if he had talked to Himawari. Ota responded by asking who Himawari was. Tsubaki froze. He threw on his uniform and bolted out of the house in a rush. He arrived at school and checked the classroom, but Himawari Chisato was not in their class. Kaide greeted him cheerfully, calling him Aga-kun. She commented that he was as hard to read as ever, and made a joke about it being early in the year for sunflowers, a play on Himawari's name. Tsubaki stormed into Ota's classroom 3A and asked if Ota seriously did not remember Himawari. He told Ota that she was their childhood friend and that the three of them had been together since they were kids. Ota patted Tsubaki's shoulder and apologized, saying he genuinely had no idea what Tsubaki was talking about. He said that Tsubaki was the only one he had been with since they were brats and that there was no room for anyone else. Tsubaki had no choice but to accept that Himawari did not exist in this world. He ran out of school. Even if it was as if she had never existed at all, he still remembered her. Even if no one else remembered her, he did. As long as he remembered, there was absolutely no way she was just gone. She was out there somewhere in this world. He had to believe that and find her, because if he did not, even the Himawari he remembered, and even his feelings for her would disappear. He ran out of school and headed to an apartment building. It was the last place he could think of. He had not been there in years. He went up to room 306, the nameplate reading Chisato, and rang the doorbell. He begged for Himawari to be there. A voice answered through the intercom. Tsubaki tried to explain himself, and the person on the other end asked if he was Tsukun. The door opened and an older woman let him in. She commented that he was skipping school and wondered how long it had been since he last visited. Tsubaki apologized, and then asked her directly if Himawari was there. The woman asked what he was talking about and told him that he already knew. Tsubaki panicked and asked if Himawari was here. The woman squeezed his hand and said that he had come to see her after all this time. She thanked him and told him he had not forgotten her. Tsubaki was at a loss for words. The woman said that normally she would scold him for skipping school, but she was just about to head out there herself and asked if he wanted to come with her. Himawari's mother drove Tsubaki to Higashi University Hospital. Tsubaki thought to himself that if someone else knew about Himawari, there was no doubt she really did exist in this world. They arrived at the hospital and went inside. Tsubaki was so hopeful. But when they reached the room, Himawari was lying in a hospital bed hooked up to medical equipment, breathing weakly. This was not the Himawari he remembered.